Good evening and salutations, my soap opera fans. So yes, as the title suggests, Danny and Charlotte kissing cousins. Yep. So yeah, we're gonna get into that. And Jay Blue says, "How are you?" I love the classic GHM shows. It was good, Jay Blue. Now we're gonna sit there and talk about it all, everything I didn't sit there and talk about this week, and all that. So first of all, let's say what's up to Ava. Sean's in the chat. How you doing tonight? Allison's in the chat. How you doing tonight? Krista's in the chat. How you doing tonight? Monica's in the chat. How you doing tonight? Double Max is in the chat. How you doing tonight? Jay Blue is in the chat. How you doing tonight? Monique said they had kissing cousins on another soap opera. Danny and Michelle, Billy and Mackenzie. Oh, Monique, isn't it another group? Jonathan, what was his name? Jonathan and Tammy, right? Thank you, Sean. Thank you. What's good, Jay? How you doing tonight? It's good to see you. Jay Blue says it's legal for second cousins to get together and unite. Yeah. But wasn't it another couple though? And I know this because DC was it was good run. Um, one second, I'll answer that question. 1 second, Ron. There we go. Thank you, dog. Mix. I was listening to this. I was like, where's that coming from? The guy in life. Yes, Jonathan and Tammy. Remember how how happy DC was about that? That they were the best couple ever. Um, I'm kind of blah about it. I'm kind of bland about it, to be honest, Ron. Monique says, "Oh, okay." Monique said, "Chad and Whitney, they weren't cousins, but half brother and half sister." Yo, passions. Yes. Ron, what's your thoughts on Johnny letting Chanel go visit Sophia? Uh, I thought it was fucking stupid. I thought it was stupid. I thought it was absolutely stupid. Just a very bubble-headed decision. I'm like, Chanel, you know damn well she don't like you. She don't want that child to be raised by Jan. You want to see pictures? Like fucking idiot. Domac says that's the one that's used to make you cringe, and then you discover Hollyoaks and Dodger and yeah, yeah. I didn't know about that shit though. Hollyoaks is a wild show. I can't wait to catch up tomorrow actually. But they don't show it. What do you mean they don't show it? What do you mean they didn't show it? I put that shit all the way over there. I don't know. Maybe it's me. And listen, I'm in the I and then see it. She was wrapped up in a sheet. Well, I mean, I don't know exactly how much you was expecting to see. Like, I don't know how much you. Oh, you mean like they didn't? I feel like they showed like them fooling around and stuff like that, but like, um, it wasn't like a full. What's good, Tracy Steves? Good to see you. It wasn't like how they usually do it, I guess. But I mean, how much are they actually going to show? Sean says, I love Sienna and Noah, that actress who played Ava. She's better actress than she, that's for sure. Hmm? So, yeah, I mean, like, oh, Sienna is a better actress than Audrey. Okay. What's good, cherry ice cream? Kristen, Ron. Kristen. Honestly, tell you the truth, Sean, I'm gonna be honest. Maybe it's just me, but I'm kind of happy that they didn't show a whole sex scene. Like I always find those scenes to be So fucking dumb, honestly. Like I'm gonna be honest, I always fast forward through the sex scenes. I find it to be like super fucking cringy. I find them to be what's good, Amy H. It's good to see you tonight. How you doing? I always find those things to be like super cringy. I honestly tell you the truth, what's good, Big Nate? They were decent. They were decent to that. What makes you think that, Sean? What's good? What's good, Cherry? Yeah, the salsa's decent today. Crazy ass fucking Mariah, I'll tell you that much. What's good, Black Mom? Krista says all my children, Erica unbeknownly slept with her half brother. They were horrified. Oh shit. Oh, just a hunch. Okay. What have you not been liking about Days, Sean? Eagle says, I'm glad I did not write the kissing cousin right belong in prison. She's going for yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, no, they need to lock her ass up and throw her the goddamn key. Throw that chick in the fucking psych ward. I'm doing good, Black Mon. I made it through today. Yeah, no, Sean, I heard. It's been it's been nonstop. It's like, you get the news alert like right on your phone right then and there. Yeah, that's true, Ava. That's true. I gotta go get my I gotta go get my soup. One second. One second. Ron says, why is Patch babysitting Alex and Stephanie two grown? Well, because Stephanie is Steve's daughter, and Alex is going to be his future son-in-law. So why wouldn't he want to sit there and protect them? Like it's not about them being two grown ass adults, but like he also even said it. Like why? Yes, it's pretty crazy. They kissing cousins. Ava Domex says YNR is doing their yearly rich lady has a mental breakdown storyline. I see. Yo, okay. There's a part, and I'm gonna get to people's questions in a second. There's a part on YNR, and I think this was yesterday when Adam didn't want to sit there and tell Chelsea about what Victor was planning. Like he told her. This chick, under a fucking hour, when they were talking to Nikki, Adam was like, "Yo, listen, I can't sit there and tell you what Dad's plan is." And Chelsea was like, "Well, I can tell you." I'm like, "You just sat there and betrayed this man's confidence and confident and under a fucking hour." I'm like, "Are you fucking serious, Chelsea?" I was so disappointed by that. Well, I mean, yeah, Ron, but Steve doesn't know that. So, like, what is him listening have anything to do with Steve not wanting to like be their bodyguards? That's my goddamn music now. Mason said, "What do you think about the couples in GH are putting together, they have potential, but some lack chemistry, and some do lack good writing. It was good, Ed. I'll get to that question one. As I just want to say this before I get off. GH made a big deal about Sasha and Cody being kissing cousins to turn around and do it with Danny. And you know what? Honestly, tell you the truth, very good point. Very good point, Ed. Yeah, very good point. What's good, Deluxe? What you don't like about the story, Sean? I don't know. I'm not. Why is that, Krista? And I'm gonna get to that in 1 second. I mean, I'm not a huge. Thank you, Ed. I hope I get to sit there and see you this weekend. Uh, um, yeah, I'm not a huge couple fan. Like, I don't usually do couples and stuff. But my whole thing, like, I mean, they're gonna be doing something with Valentine and Carly, which I'm okay with. I don't know anything about chemistry. That's not really my area. But this whole Molly and this whole Molly and Cody thing was just fucking annoying. Here's the thing: like, I'm not a huge couple person. I don't really care if people getting together or not or whatever. Um, but like, here's the thing: they do stupid shit like that, right? Like when they're having a good moment and then they find a way to just fucking take it away. Like, what's the point of that they're rooting for some of these people when they just find ways to like fucking dismantle them anyway? Like it just seems like it just. Well, yes, obviously, and that's very true, Jay Blue. They broke up because the actress was leaving, and it just didn't really seem like it made a lot of sense to keep them together. You know. So maybe but see, that's another thing, though, right? Like, okay, and somebody said, oh yeah, Maxie, yeah, okay, Maxie and So there's another thing, right? So they broke up Cody and Sasha, right? They did the whole, oh, okay, we can't be together because be kissing cousins or whatever. Okay, all right, but then we got to sit there and see. We couldn't even sit there and see the relationship between Sasha getting to know Robert, right? We couldn't even sit there and see that. Like that wasn't even really that much of a payoff. When you really start to think about it, it's like, okay, people like the couple, Sasha and Cody, but they fucked it up and they decided, oh well, let's have Robert be her dad. But then they don't even really do anything with that. So like, okay, so Maxie and Nathan, right? Well, let me turn my goddamn music. Their reasoning, seriously, Jerry, when you really think about it, it's just like you couldn't even have a second part to be a payoff. You ruined a couple, but then it's like, okay, cool, maybe we get to sit there and see some sort of bonding between Robert and Sasha. Nope. But Max, okay, so Matt, no, Nathan and Lulu, their reasoning for not being together is dumb as fuck. Okay. Because when you really start to think about it, Lulu's like, oh my God, I can't sit there and be with you because Maxie's going to be crushed. Maxie is going out with Spinelli. They have a whole fucking exactly, like they have a whole family going on together. Because I didn't get to it yet, Ron. I'm doing all the soap operas, Ron, not just Days of Our Lives. What's good, CK? And I'll get to that in a second, Ron. But like, they have a whole thing going on. And honestly, tell you the truth, even Nathan being like, "Oh, well, I can't sit there and be with you because of Dante." Dante was married to fucking Sam. I'm pretty sure he was going to be married to Sam. He had a relationship with Sam for a while. I'm pretty sure he's not going to be like, "Oh my god, you broke bro code," even though that we're not even though that me and Lulu aren't together anymore. You somehow broke bro code. Like that is just it's so fucking stupid. I'm sorry. And maybe this is just me. And listen, I respect your opinion and everything like that, but like for me, it's just fucking dumb. Sam and Dante were together for a while, right? So honestly, tell you, here's the thing: Dante shouldn't even be upset with Nathan for dating Lulu. Like they ain't together. They haven't been together in a long fucking time. Like it would just be it's they're finding stupid. Why not deluxe? I mean, listen again. I'm not. That's your opinion, deluxe. I just for me, I don't really. If y'all moved on, if y'all moved on and you're with other people, it really doesn't make sense not sit there and be with your your um your friend's ex. And think about that situation. Maxie is with Spinelli, and Dante was with Sam for a while. It's not like after that they got back together or anything like that. Dude wasn't even in the right headspace to sit there and even be thinking about dating. So why the hell should he even be upset with Nathan being with Lulu? Like if anything, Nathan is a good dude. Like I feel like okay, fine, whatever. Like that's you ain't mean Joe Schmo, whatever. So I just, for me, and that's just me personally. I mean, Ron, I don't know what to sit there and say about Vivian coming back. Like, I was never a huge Vivian fan. If you want me to answer your other question first, I'm going to answer your other question anyway. I'm not a huge fan of Vivian. I mean, I don't really hate her or anything like that, but like her coming back, like, okay, I mean, I guess they're going to do something with the story, and that's cool, I guess, but like, I'm not a huge fan of her. I don't really hate her, so I'm just like I'm not super excited if that makes sense. Oh, here's the thing, Ron. She's going to okay. Sophia's going to sit there and blackmail Melinda, and again, Melinda was just so much of a fucking dumbass to sit there, really helping Sophia the way that she did because you're a Kendrick spirit, and I see a lot of you and me at that age or some dumb shit or whatever, and you risk your fucking law license, and now that shit's going to bite her in the ass. And she was like, "Oh well, I'm not gonna sit there and say anything. I mean, it's not like people know I can't. It's not like people know I can talk. Like, don't sit there and tell people that I can talk, and you won't have to sit there and worry about me jeopardizing your law license." So yeah, she's definitely gonna sit there and blackmail her. And honestly, to tell you the truth, I don't feel bad. I will not feel bad for Melinda at all. Not even a fucking ounce. But yeah, I don't. It's just so stupid. And going back to Molly and Cody, right? I understand that he was taken a bit back by the stuff that Molly wrote. Okay, I think that's a human reaction to a point. Okay, because he was like, well, I saw that a lot of myself, but to sit there and hear somebody else say, to get some goddamn therapy then. Like seriously, I got so I would sit there and get so annoyed with the constant self-loathing. And by the way, there's 33 people in the chat. Make sure you hit the like button because it really does help. No, seriously, it really does help. But like, I understand him being a little upset, right? Bro, you've been lying to this woman for months. You knew damn well where her dad was, and you didn't say anything. Um, I'm not super excited for it. I don't. I'm kind of. I honestly tell you, Ron, it feels very middle of the road, and some of the stuff is just kind of like they're doing a whole Jeremy thing. Oh, Jeremy did it or whatever. Listen, when everything comes to pass, I want Jada to get on her fucking knees and apologize, and I want Stephanie to do it as well because they are so hell bent on sure that he's the person that did it. This is all we're listening to hearing. Yeah, I mean, listen, Sean, I would sit there and say Holly out of all four of them, Holly was probably the one that was worth a damn out of all four of them leaving. But honestly, tell you the truth, like, and granted, I've heard people sit there and say, and this isn't official, so do not take this as official. It's not Jay Blue, and honestly, tell you the truth, it was also just fucking annoying. Um, is that Days got rid of those four people to save money? Okay, this was a budget issue. I don't know how true that is. What's good, Jonathan? Oof, I don't know. I don't know, Kaiwan. It's kind of hard to tell. Like the most. Well, okay, that's not true. Um, they're both a tie, so I'm gonna sit there and say two because I can't just put one, and that is the hostage. One second, Ron. The Metro Court hostage crisis with Jerry Jacks and the water pathogen, where is are probably my two favorite ones. That's right, Jonathan. They went there with actual blood related kissing cousins. Ed made a good point about the fact that they was like, oh my God, we can't do this with Cody and Sasha, but they had no problem doing it with Danny and Charlotte. Ron says, how do you feel about Jennifer giving Jeremy the benefit of the doubt, meaning that he's not the. How do I feel about that? That's a good thing. Um, it's kind of an odd question, but okay. I mean, that's good, Ron. And I'm glad that somebody is in his corner. What's good, Rachel? What were they thinking? Um, causing controversy, causing a stir. Exactly, Jay Blue. That's what I was going to say. I was like, dude needs fucking therapy, like serious therapy. Rachel says, "Am I the only one who thought not only was Trina out of line for how she spoke to Portia, but a black woman would never put up with that? Ain't no way." I mean, in all reality, Rachel, I don't think any woman should put up with that, regardless of color. Um, I don't think it's necessarily a color thing. I think it's a respecting your parents sort of thing. But yeah, it was definitely it was his thing. She's been Trina's been out of pocket with the way that she has been talking to her mother for a while, right? The thing that really irritates me about I'm gonna answer that question in 1 second, Jonathan. The thing that really annoys me, Trina, you haven't lived life. Okay. When she said today, she was like, well, I don't know how you can sit there and do something like that. Trina, you're barely fucking 21 years old. You haven't lived life the way that Portia has. Okay? You are coming across as an ungrateful, spoiled fucking brat. And this is me being nice. Okay. The thing that irritates me is when somebody that's younger has the audacity to judge somebody that's older that has been through life and stuff like that. That irritates me to no end. Johnson says, "Do you think Trina should forgive Portia?" Um, yes. I mean, do you? I'm not thinking about that wrong. Um, it seems like there's a common theme in soaps in general, Deluxe. But yeah, um, but yeah, it was so out of pocket. Like her judgment. Okay. They're going out their way to sit there and make Trina as unlikable as fucking possible, and it's working. Yeah, but that's the thing, though. That's the thing, though, Jonathan. As adults, as people who have lived and been through life and been through their ups and their downs and their mistakes and everything like that, we know that life is not black and white. Trina has been living in a fucking bubble for the majority of her life, okay? Except for the whole Spencer thing. But like, she doesn't understand what it's like to sit there and make mistakes and to sit there and want forgiveness. This is what Portia was meant to trying to teach this idiotic fucking child that, you know, you make mistakes as an adult and you just hope that the people that are in your life that love you can sit there and still love you. Because that's what she was meant to say. No matter what you do, you're still going to be my daughter. I'm still going to love you. And Trina just stood there with that stupid, idiotic, judgmental fucking look in her face. And it's just like you're watching them like it is just listen, I do this because it's fun and I make a living out of it. But like I could just see somebody being like, you know what, fucking I'm just gonna sit there and turn this shit off for a hot minute. I'm gonna watch something else. I'm gonna get my mind off this because I cannot sit there and watch this disrespectful little girl treat her mother and in this way of like judgment and everything like that. Like the thing that Trina said to Portia, I feel should have come out of Curtis's mouth. You mean the whole, well, how can I forgive you for something that for what you did to dad? And the thing that really fucking irritates me is that not that long ago she was on 1 second, Ron. She was on she was on Curtis and she was on Jordan. Remember when she was all up in Jordan's face and they're saying, "Well, you're not going to be around my dad," and this, that, and that. This is where Trina started to show her ass and start to show this little bratty, bitchy side. When she got up in when she got up in Jordan's face talking about, well, you're not going to be around my dad and you're wrecking our home and this, that, and the third. Next minute, she's all endorsing Curtis and Jordan's relationship, and now she's just being a fucking hyena to her mother. Like it's ridiculous. I don't really care, Ron, one way or the other. Um, but I will sit there and say this much about that though. Um, the fact that Chad is just at this point of his life where he's just like, well, Abby's just gonna be the love of my life, and I'm just gonna be alone forever. I'm like, damn, bro, it's just fucking depressing. Like, maybe you should sit there and do some goddamn therapy or something. Because I'm like, the one happiness that he fucking had, his in-laws started acting like a bunch of fucking Karens, and his son acted like a fucking idiot. And now he's just like, oh, well, I guess I'm just gonna spend the rest of my life alone. I'm like, wow, okay, that's like that's that's good to know, Chad. Thank you for that. Um, they don't do that, and that's the thing that's like it's so annoying to watch. Sean, what would you have liked to see in Billy Spinn's character? Yeah, Kaiwan, he's been being poisoned. Ranting Ricardo, let's everyone say what's up to Ranting Ricardo, the queen of daytime soaps, pretty much. I was watching a little bit of your stream on the way home. I said it once, I'll say it again. They need to hire me to keep the history straight. I think they actually knew. I think they actually, and the thing is, it's actually really funny ranting. Okay, well, see, that's the thing, though. Okay, so you said like they need to hire you to make sure that they keep the history together. Rick and Curtis knew each other. Rick and Curtis worked together before with the whole Oscar thing. So when Brooke was not there flirting with when Brick was not there flirting with Jordan, and Curtis was like, "Hey, who's your friend?" It's like Curtis, you know damn well you know who he is. Okay, you were getting tech and stuff like that when you were with Drew, the Billy Miller version, and you were trying to find a guy named Raj. Now we just gonna sit there and act like we're not supposed to know, like they're not supposed to know who they are. Like really? I remember making a fucking point about that because I was like, I doubt. What makes you think they're trying to kill off Jocelyn Deluxe? Okay. Um. But it's like I said, Danny. They had these characters on Guiding Light named Jonathan and Tammy, and they were kissing. They were adults. Jonathan and Tammy were adults that knew that they were cousins, and pretty much said, "Fuck it, we're gonna be together." And guess what, Ranton? There was a good portion of fans that actually supported that. They liked those couple. They liked that couple. They rooted for them, and they were happy about it. Okay, I want you to sit there and think about just how fucked up people are, Ranton. There were grown as adults that sat there and supported that Tammy and Jonathan relationship, knowing that they were blood fucking cousins. Yeah. So like people sit there and think that social media messed up society. No, people were fucked up way before social media was really a thing. I blame TikTok. TikTok my ass. Please don't test my patience. Um Grant said Jonathan deliberately went after Tammy knowing that they were cousins to begin with, and then when they decided to be together. Exactly. Yes, this is what I'm sitting there talking about. Like, that's the thing. That's the thing, Cherry. People always blame social media, being like, "Oh, it's social media's fault that people are just so messed up in the head." No, I mean, social media didn't help, but honestly, tell you the truth, guns didn't help either. But people were sitting there killing each other way before guns. So let's not sit there and start blaming man-made tools when people had fucked up minds way before that. Well, Deluxe, I look at it this way. What was she going to do? Right? Okay, so yeah, she saw Ross. She knew who Ross was. There was a snowstorm, right? The launches obviously weren't going back and forth, and there was a snowstorm. So she's not going to sit and be outside and freeze to death waiting for the snowstorm to pass, right? So I mean, what are really our options? Ramsey says people have been messed up in the head long before social media and the internet. Really, the internet and social media have been helping solve the unalivings. Have been helping solve the unalivings. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I tend to go a little off tangent and get a little philosophical when I'm drinking wine, but like saying, like, I just get kind of annoyed because I feel like people blame social media like it's to me it just comes across as a cop out. Like, people have this funny way of that they're being very covert about their feelings. I'm not upset about her being in the house with him, but she's sneaking around. Yeah, Dola. I mean, yes, Deluxe. That I understand. That I understand. Because I'm like, she already got caught once. Jay Blue says people blaming their true intentions on alcohol. This is cool. You know me, and you watch my lives. I go off tangents. That's true. That's true, Ranton. I mean, not to be kind of cringe, but I mean, it is in the name. So why even bother to sit there and highlight that shit? Oh, there we go. I was like, how the fuck do I Yeah, they're no, they weren't related to each other, Jonathan. But the thing is, though, well, oh, are you talking to me or somebody else? Oh, you're talking about LaShawn. Never mind. Never mind. My bad. Continue. Oh, wait, hold on. Yes, that's okay. Hold on. Sam is the biological mother of one of Dante's siblings, aka Lily, not related. Yeah, they're not related, but it is messy. That is actually very true. Because okay, all right, they are connected in a way where it's messy, but it's not like blood messy. Okay, because you really think about it, like, okay, so Sonny and Sam had a child, right? And Dante and Sonny. Well, Dante is Sonny's son. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I'm getting a little kind of confused. No, that's true. It's not as messy. It's not. Sam is the biological mother of one of Dante's siblings, aka Lila. Not related. Yes, yes, it's very true. Which I'm not gonna lie. I always. Here's the thing. When Dante and what you call it were together, I always felt that to be weird. Like it wasn't like messy, messy. I just felt that it was a little off. But you know what? Listen, yeah, exactly, Jonathan. So it looked like Ivory, the fucking Karen, and the fucking peeping Tom didn't run off Dylan, which I'm glad about. Rant says Keisha wasn't related to Jason and AJ, but Judas. Maya and other wars that came from Bradley are not related but messy. I'm not gonna lie, Ivory has got to be just like, well, Ivory's not the most annoying, but like she was doing the most. She was doing the absolute fucking most. Um, I'm like, in our reality, I'm like, Dylan, just go back home to your fucking parents. Because, yes, it is, there is a level of those scenes being unnerving, right? Like when they look like they're about to sit there and kiss, how many times that, Dylan had that lusty look at Will. Yes, those are very concerning things. Ranton says Ivy is always being weird, like when she lied about Steffi deliberately unaliving Allie when wow. And there was a point when she sat there and said, like, how pathetic is it for you to sit there and be trying to. No, no, no. She was like, do you not have any self respect? You sit there going after Electra's boyfriend like that. I'm like, Ivory, remember when you sat there and you drew yourself at Liam multiple times? I guess you didn't have any self respect then either, right? I guess that shit was just out the goddamn window. And speaking of chicks that are annoying, let's switch up to Beyond the Gates for a hot minute. Eva is starting to work my fucking nerves. Eva's starting to work my nerves, and I'm just gonna sit there and say this right off rip. It should be illegal for Nicole to look that damn good. Okay, that shit should be fucking illegal for Nicole to look that good. That is like insane. Ivory showed her behind that summer because Steffi wasn't even on that Liam tip. She was trying to get Wyatt. Mm, deliver us from Eva. Here's the thing, like Kat was 100% correct. Like she was really showing her level of insecurity. And then even after Kat left, she was like, well, why are you going to her for advice? He made a joke and she was like, oh, so you don't care about my feelings? I'm like, honestly, to tell you the truth, I'm like, yo, the fact that Isaiah stood there as long as he did to sit there and deal with Eva and her fucking attitude was like, girl, you need to calm the fuck down. And that, and that's another thing. Thank you, Ranting, because you know, here's my whole thing. She sat there and she looked at that and she was like, "Oh, what is Cassnet there doing by my man?" I was like, "Girl, remember all those times you were sitting there hanging out with Tomas? You were hanging out with Tomas. You was laughing up and stuff like that. When then Kat came over, you sat there and gave her that whole, why are you being so insecure? Me and him are just friends." But now you have that same little stink ass attitude and playing the victim like you weren't doing that shit a couple months ago. That's the thing about fucking Eva that really fucking irritates me. Because once what she has and is willing to go after her scraps, and he said, I like to think yeah. Yeah, exactly. He said a joke to snip that light in the mood, and she sat there and got all pissy into her feelings. I'm like, Isaiah, you should have just walked away from that chick right then. Maybe it's just me because I don't have patience. I lack the fucking patience. Um, and I'm not gonna let you sit there and bring down my fucking mood and my goddamn buzz. But like that's the thing about Eva. Cat is over the top. right? But Eva does things, and then she sits there and tries to play victim. You know, you sat there and you slept with somebody who you knew was involved with another woman, okay? And then you sat there and you tried to throw it in her face. And then, you know, after he played you twice, the dude played you fucking twice. Then you sat there and got up in Cat's face talking about, well, me and him are going to have something that you didn't have or whatever. And then you sat there and you tried to, when you were done with him, when you finally got some self respect, you decided to walk that shit backwards talking about, well, we can still be friends, right? I'm like, Eva, you know, listen, you may not be as over the top and as kind of irking as Cat, but like, you definitely have your fucked up qualities. While you sit there and try to act like you're better than Cat because you're more down to earth. Ryan, when you ask me an actual question, then I'll answer you. Ranta says I'm annoyed by the situation because people forget that Eva deliberately went after Tomas and started an emotional and physical affair with him, and now they think Cat is the issue, not tripping H. Yeah, exactly. Like see this is you know that's the thing, Rent. This is why I don't. This is like for me personally. I don't do teams, right? Like people like I'm Team Cat, I'm Team Eva. Like y'all both fucked up. It's just one of y'all is just more over the top than the other. Yeah, I mean don't get me wrong. Like you know, Cat was being fucking annoying as well. Like the first thing that she does is sit there and start throwing her money around and talking about, oh well, you know, you come from nothing, you come from low income. I remember somebody sat there and said when the show first came out after a while. I remember when the show first came out. And somebody was like, you know, the thing with Kat and the way that she constantly talks down to um Eva about her clothes and her money and her status, it's like she practically was like, you do realize that like your demographic audience are the people with that level of income. It's like every time that Kat sits there and talks down and degrades people of that money that wears those clothes and that status, you're practically sitting there degrading your fucking audience. Yeah, Jonathan. I mean, I don't think that they did either. Because honestly, to tell you, Jonathan, let me put it this way: if they would have sat there and killed off Peter, then I'm like, you know what? It's Days of Our Lives once again, wasting a fucking character. No, not really, Ron. I don't. He sat there and tried to kill a room full of people. So no, I don't feel bad for Peter. Another says B&B back to Boy Meets Girl. That is correct, Spiderquake. That did happen today. Rancher says Cat goes at Eva, but hey, she doesn't like her whatsoever, so it's up. I'm confused about why people don't have an issue with Leslie, aka Wig, doing the same thing to Shanice. I mean, I do, but honestly, tell you the truth, every time I see Leslie, um, she just annoys me. I'll answer that question 1 second, Spiderquake. And that says, how are Danny and Charlotte related? Jonathan, you want to take this one? They're both Cassidines in a sense. Danny is Sam's mother, and Sam is a Cassidine. And Valentine is also a Cassidine, like blood related. Thank you, Jonathan. Well, I don't know how long it's going to take to get fixed. I mean, here's the thing, Spider Quick. I wouldn't give it a timetable, but I would sit there and say I feel like they did this on purpose to cause a stir, to get people talking, to get people riled up in one way or the other. You know, because the writers, it's not like the writers don't know that Charlotte and Danny are cousins. Um, and honestly, tell you the truth, Spider Quake, how could you fix that? Like, if you really think about it, like, you ask, how could they fix that? They just made out and they knew that they were cousins. That's not a move you can sit there and walk back. You can't walk that back. Well, if you think so, Ron, um, I don't, I don't, I don't see it that way, Ron. But okay, okay. So so this is what Johnson says. Johnson says Sam is Danny's mother, and Alexis is his grandmother, who is Valentine's cousin, and Valentine is Charlotte's father. And though that Danny and Charlotte are cousins. Yeah, that pretty much answers. Yeah, that answer is actually really good. There you go, Nat. Raiders. What Raiders? So yeah, thank you, Jonathan. Exactly, Sean. That's what I was like. See, again, for people that don't know, Jonathan is the Michael Baldwin in the chat. I will sit there and say this much for anyone that watches YNR. At least they are actually moving some traction. They don't have to spend a whole week trying to figure out who is the person that kidnapped Dominic. Now they know it was crazy ass fucking Mariah. He does. He does, Sean. Exactly, Jonathan. But, I mean, that's the thing. Like I said to Spike, I'm like, it's they did that to cause a stir, right? Like if you just go to Google and you type up Danny and I mean that's the thing though, right, Sean? Like, okay, I wonder if they can redeem Drew. They quote unquote redeem Luke. They quote unquote redeem Luke Spencer, right? Luke Spencer did something. Here's the thing. Luke Spencer did something worser than Drew has ever done. Out of all the things that Drew has ever done, Luke Spencer did something far worse. far, far fucking worse than anything that Drew has ever done. So if they can, quote unquote, redeem Luke, which honestly, to tell you the truth, he was never redeemed in my eyes, um, then yeah, they should be able to redeem Drew. Yes, Ron, but Steve doesn't know that. So what is it's like, Ron, what do you think they're saying? So because like they're the stalkers listening in, Steve should just sit there and say, "Oh well, listen, I was going to sit there and protect my baby girl, but the stalker's listening in, so I there's no point. I might as well just do nothing. Just sit on my hands and just wait for the stalker to sit there and take out Alex and claim his prize for Stephanie. Like, what do you want Steve? What do you want Steve to be doing, Ron? I think that's the better question. What do you want Steve to be doing? What should he be doing with his time? Gabriel says Jordan said a foreshadow statement about Drew being a changed man if he recovers from his condition. Hmm. My nephew's wife is double related to herself. So I would sit there and say that redemption is absolutely possible. You know, I think that certain people, depending on the things they do, is irredeemable. Exactly, Jay Blue. And that's another thing. Okay, so Tracy and Marty, right? Tracy and Marty. Marty Martin is kind of annoying in the sense that he can't take responsibility for his actions, right? Like he's like, well, you ruined me financially by informing my ex-wives about my windfall. I'm like, yes, have a good night, Sean. I'll sit there and see you tomorrow. Yeah, have fun this weekend. Um, Tracy was like, well, who told you to sit there and marry three women? Basically, Smith is saying that he's an easy mark. While Martin Smith is saying, well, I'm a brave person because I'll sit there and put myself back out there. No, he cannot, Albert. I still agree about Marty. Yeah, I'm like, bro. And the thing that really annoyed me was like, think about what you're upset about with Tracy. You're upset that Tracy put in your head that Lucy was cheating. I'm like, well, it was your first of all, it was your choice to sit there and believe her, right? You chose to believe her. You confronted Lucy. But guess what? You were wrong. Okay, fine. You made a mistake or whatever. You want to sit there and try to change it. You go to Lucy and she's like literally rolling in the hay with Scotty. And you're upset with Tracy for that? Like, seriously, you're upset with Tracy for that. Tracy ruined the best thing for you. Bro, listen, there's a term for that, and I wouldn't normally bring it up, but I'm gonna blame it on the alcohol. There's a term for that. It's called being a cuck. Okay? It's called being a cuck. You didn't have less than 24 hours before she decided to hook up with another man, and you're upset with Tracy. You should be you should be sitting there sending Tracy a bottle of champagne or a bottle of wine as a thank you for dodging a fucking bullet. Tracy said something that was really interesting. Tracy was like, "Yeah, you know what? Listen, I saw your ex-wives. Okay, they're beautiful. This was never about love with you. This is about lust. Listen, Lucy is a fucking dingbat. There is no change my mind on that. But Lucy, for that woman's age, she still got it going on. Okay? Lucy still got it going on. I don't think it had anything to do with, oh, he was in love with Lucy. No. He was in lust with Lucy. And he seemed like he has a pattern. Like, come on, bro. Oh, Lord. And the sad thing is that, like, I don't even I don't even like Tracy, but everything that Tracy said was a fucking like honestly tell you the truth, the Tracy and Martin scene was probably the best one because Tracy was delivering nothing but fucking facts. I don't even like Tracy. I was like, I agree with everything that Tracy said. Like Marty, you have a fucking loser mindset. Like you have a loser mindset, bro. That's a sad truth for the matter. Yeah, well, you know, Kaiwan, I may have to take your word for it because I never watched All My Children. I watched like the clips and stuff like that with members and stuff. But it, thank you, Jay Blue, because Cody also has a fucking loser mind mentality. You know, like there's a fine line between having your off days, feeling a little insecure. That's normal. This, Cody like turns into a fucking tragedy every single damn day. On top of that, you acting on this high horse like you haven't been lying to this chick for months. Like that's something else. I was like, bro, listen, I can my sympathy for you goes only so far because you're super angry, but you're also a hypocrite. Like seriously, Jerry. That's right, CJ Clove. Kissing cousins. Like it's like Jonathan and Tammy all over again. Just fucking nasty. Nasty, nasty, nasty. Johnson says Sophia is obsessed with getting revenge on John and Chanel because her plan were derailed when they originally. That's another thing, Jonathan. Before you got here, I sat there and said that Sophia is going to blackmail Melinda. Okay, Melinda was like, "Listen, I want to thank you for keeping my name out of everything when things went down." And Sophia made this cryptic threat. Basically, Smith did saying Elvis Presley, kissing cousins. Oh wow! And what's good, Nicole? I mean, what's good, Nicholas? What's good? It's good to see you. And it has been a long time. It's been a damn long time. Um, yeah, she sat there and said, "Hey, listen, I'm not going to sit there and say anything because people don't know that I can talk." Basically, sat there saying, "Shut your mouth. Don't sit there and say I can't talk, and I won't have anything to talk about." And then it says, "Gee, stop jumping the shark." No, it's too late for that. It's too late for that. Somebody sat there and said like, "How could they fix it?" I'm like, you can't unfix that shit. They are, Nicholas. They are cousins. Here's my thing. right? I thought about that today when I was writing it. Now, I don't think a lot of people watch B&B, but you have this guy named R.J. Forrester coming back to town, and he seems like he has an attraction for this woman named Electra, who is also a Forrester. But the thing is, Electra and RJ aren't blood related. They're not blood cousins. He just pretty much kind of carries name Forrester as a mantle, but like he's not an actual blood Forrester. They just have the same last name, but not blood related. So I'm okay with that. Jay Blue is funny. I can see Leo doing some shit like that. Maybe when he let Leo out the fucking attic, maybe when they let him out the attic, he can probably sit there and do some more lines and stuff. Although the last time they let him out the attic, he comes back being 10 years old talking about, I'm a vegan. I just sat there and just like, listen, I don't have anything against vegans. You put whatever the fuck you want in your body, but like just the simple fact that like he sat there and said, I'm a vegan, I'm like, you know what? Maybe we need to sit there and go back to the goddamn attic for a little bit longer. This 10-year-old boy just sat there and decided, I'm a vegan. Like, okay, he's an animal lover. I'm a vegan. It's like, bro, take your ass back to that goddamn attic. Like, I mean, listen, Jay Blue, I love animals. I do. I'm always gonna be a fucking meat eater. I think it was just I don't know. There's something about the way that he said it. It just felt like it's like now when you have these young couples on these soaps. Like I remember you had a characters named Ben and Sierra, right? And there was like, okay, well, what sex is going to be the child? It was like, well, I don't know. And I think somebody was like, well, how are we going to know what color to set the bedroom? Like how are we going to sit there and be able to like um color the bedroom? And they try to do some new age shit like, oh well, listen, it's going to be like neutral gender or whatever. Like we're just going to let the baby decide. I'm just like, okay, it's like. Okay, like there was something about it that was just like, oh, I get it. You're trying to be like all new age and hip and just free spirit or whatever, right? Because like older people would, well, if it's a girl, we're gonna sit there and paint the room pink. If it's a boy, we're gonna paint it. We're gonna color it blue. But they're all like hit with the time, so we're just gonna put it as neutral gender or some shit like that. Just like Rich and Steffi, who are exactly, they're not related. That's exactly what I was saying, Jonathan. Yeah. So like RJ is not actually a Forrester, he's a Maroney. What the fuck are you talking about, bro? I know fucking English I know English is not like your first or fourth language, but what are you talking about? Yeah, time will tell. Oh wait, hold on. I forgot something. You have if I remember correctly. Hold on. Yeah, you have a YouTube channel. I mean, you uploaded like 5 months ago, but yeah, you have a YouTube channel. Because I haven't seen you in a while. I was like, wait, you actually have a YouTube channel. But that seems about right though. I mean, her ass is probably going to want to get trapped again. But yeah, thank you, Jay Blue. You too. You have a great night and stay warm because it is death outside. I'm not even gonna lie. Like it feels like death. Okay? Exactly, CK. You know she don't want to get caught. I will sit there and say I was surprised that she actually came there armed. Like she came there with a pew pew. Okay, she came there ready, like just in case. So no, it's death kind of cold. Like honestly, like I've been up since 3 o'clock this morning, going outside, getting ready for the bus and everything like that. I can tell you firsthand, like frostbite is real. Johnson says if RJ and Dylan become a thing, Aubrey won't have to worry about Letcher being cheated on, and Will won't have his heart broken. Well, I understand about the first part, but how will Will not actually have his heart broken if? Oh, never mind. Oh, never. Yeah, then you're right. Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right. But I think it's in Ivory's DNA. Like I'm not gonna lie, like I even find it kind of stupid that she snipped it. First of all, this whole well you shouldn't be spending so much time over there. You shouldn't be sitting there sleeping over there because it's not proper. I was like, how many times you sit there and throw yourself with a goddamn man, but you want to sit there and talk about it's not proper for a legend to be spending so much time with her fucking boyfriend. I was like, honestly, tell you the truth, maybe if you actually got some and you were actually with a man, you wouldn't sit there and be so goddamn uptight. The fact that Electra was like, oh, well, I can't sit there and spend the night because, my Aunt Ivory is not there saying that, I can't get lost in this and I got to sit there and spend time with the family. Like, just a bunch of bullshit fucking reasons of why she shouldn't be spending the night over and stuff. I'm like, I can't. Rachel says it was a big plot twist to have Electra be the one who. Oh, it would be a big part. Yeah, it would. Not that Ivory is not going to sit there and make up a bunch of bullshit excuses, but like, yes. I also forgot to talk about in that. It seemed like Taylor came back with a whole new attitude, and she's like, "Yo, me and Deacon are going to be together. I don't give an f about Sheila. I ain't scared of her. I'm not living my life in fear." I sat there, and of course, Steffi, because if you saw the previews, Steffi being the self-centered POS that she is in a sense, was like, well, if you get together with Deacon, then I'm not going to be in your life anymore. I'm like, you know what? Typical fucking Steffi. Typical fucking Steffi. Like she's not there literally forbidding her own mother from doing something that she wants to do. I'm like, you know what? I keep forgetting how much of a serious POS that you are. I can say worse things, but I'm actually trying to be nice. CK says Molly doesn't seem like a brainy, doesn't seem like a brainy airhead to me these days. Stuffy, stuffy, yeah. I just here's the thing. I really do. Here's the thing. I really do feel that um Um, well, I mean, granted, I'm just kind of curious, but how does Molly seem like an airhead to you now? Like I said, I just felt like Cody was just like doing a whole lot of whining and like, I'm like, bro, you've been lying to this woman for months, and you want to sit there and try to act like that's true, Jonathan. They haven't. They absolutely have not. But yeah, I just because she is constantly doubting, or rather downplaying her writing skills. Like I said, I get where Cody's coming from to a certain extent, but I'm like, bro, like, I'm not gonna lie, I could sit there and say so much more fucked up things, but I'm just like, bro, listen, like maybe I was like, maybe you shouldn't be so much on your high horse, given the fact that you've been sitting there lying to this chick for months, like months, you know. And that's the thing, when everything comes out and Molly finds out that Cody knew what happened to her father, he's going to be all apologetic and everything like that. And it's like, I mean, granted, this is another reason why I don't bother to root for like these couples or anything. It's not just that I don't really care about romance. It's just like, why would anybody in their right mind sit there and want to invest in these two when, you know what I'm saying? Like when you know it's going to just come crashing down. You know who character I've been seeing a lot on Twitter? Scott Baldwin. You know, I follow Ken Schreiner or whatever, and you know he talks about his time on GH or whatever. But they really fucked over Scott's character, or Ken being on the show. Like seriously, does anybody remember the last scene with Scotty on GH? I don't even talk about I don't even talk about Scotty that much. Why do you think that they need to recast RJ? I mean TJ CK. Why do you think that they need to recast him? I'm just curious on your take on it. Yeah, like think about the last time that Scotty was on the show. I think he went out for something. I don't exactly remember what. I don't even fully remember the last. I gotta go back and rewatch the last scene with him. But he left somewhere and he just never came back. Never came back. And apparently, it just seemed like they just gave the creative love triangle for Molly and TJ. I mean, that's cool, CK. But why the recast? So why not bring back the original actor? I'm only listening to saying that because like when the actor, like when I did my reaction video of the actor, he didn't seem like he left the show. Like he didn't seem like Like he was a person that like he decided to leave the show. He just kind of answered the question of like, well, I don't know if my character's returning. Like, I don't know if I'm returning to the show. Like, yeah, he went to get something and just never came back. And think about it, CK. Like the character has been on the show probably longer than I've been alive to some extent, and he is a legacy character. And yet they gave that dude his walking papers in the most disrespectful way possible. I don't get GH sometimes. Like I love GH, but like think about Luke Spencer's last scene. Luke Spencer's last scene was like not deserving of somebody who helped keep the show on the air. You know, he just like went off into this fog, and then that was about it. And then it like killed off his character off screen. He was one of the people that saved the show from being canceled, and that's how they do his character. And going back and watching some of the old clips, yep, that exactly, CK, before I was born. So the character who has been on the show before we were born gets an exit of him leaving for something and just never coming back. Like I don't know about you, but like if I ever got, on a show and I got played like that, I would be so fucking angry and bitter um about that whole thing. I remember reading that he sat there and said he wanted to do a tell-all book. Ken Shrine, he was like, I want to sit there and do a tell-all book or whatever about the show. And I think there was only two stupid dingbats that was on his Twitter page that they're saying, "Well, don't say anything bad about the show. Don't ruin the good memories." And I'm like, listen, if Ken Shriner wants to sit there and spill the tea and tell us really what's going on behind those walls, please do that. Because they really didn't bother to sit there and give Scotty's character a great symbol. My God damn, the characters on the show before I was even fucking born. I don't know. Like I said, I just feel like it's just super disrespectful. And it's kind of a shame to some extent. Like they just kind of stopped writing for TJ. They broke up, and then the dude they just kind of just like quietly shoved TJ off the show. They barely talked about him after that. Hell, Marcus wasn't named. Taggart wasn't named. Somebody sat there and said the last time that they actually talked about Marcus Taggart was 2023. I knew things shifted when Trina went from Taggart being her forever dad to just like barely talking about her, barely talking about him, barely talking about spending time with him. That's when I knew I was like, wow. And then I heard that the actor wanted to return back on GH. Like I know at some point like the actor was having some health problems, stuff like that, but he wanted to come back to the show. But it's like I don't, sometimes I go back and forth, like with Sam's character. People have sat there and said, well, you know what? The Sam character has run his course. You can't really do much more with it. But that's not true, though. You're writers. Your whole fucking job is to sit there and write and tell a good story for the characters. If you feel like one writer's like burnt out, you hire somebody else. But you don't just sit there and say, "Oh, fuck it, I can't sit there and write anything more for Sam," when her character is so integral to the story and she has so many connections on the show. But you're gonna sit there and tell people, "That's right, Michelle." But you're gonna sit there and tell people, "Oh, well, we don't have any more story to tell for her." The character has been on the show for 20 years. You don't have anything more for her to do, really? I can understand why people rushed to her defense and was just like people that were like real fans of hers, like really rallied behind her because it's like you really didn't need to sit there and kill her. I mean, some people sat there and said maybe they should have gave it to Lindsay Hartley. I don't know how many more of those damn Hallmark movies or whatever she wants to do, but CK they should have they should have showed love to Luke Spencer, Robert Scorpio, Laura Spencer, Collins, Scott Bourne, and other characters because they were on GH in the height of making the soap opera. And this is something else. There was a point where Luke and Laura wasn't on the show. And you know who helped actually carry that fucking show? Um Tristan Rogers. Um Robert Scorpio, Holly also carried that fucking show. Because they also brung in like the adventure and stuff like that. They also like carried that show heavily when Luke and Laura weren't on. But they don't get talked nearly as much. They don't get the recognition nearly as much as Luke and Laura. And they also carried that show. You go back and you watch old classic scenes of Robert and Holly. Those are some fucking great scenes. Those are the people that was pulling in the ratings. They talk about Luke and Laura being the greatest love story ever, which honestly, to tell you the truth, it just makes me sick to my stomach. But like people forget that there was a point they were on the show. Uh, yes, Michelle, that is correct. They are cousins. No, no, that's why I hate that they erased the Port Charles continuity. I wish they could have let Kelly rest the same character for a little while and let her be Livy on GH for a while. Yeah, yeah. It's. I mean, Lindsay Hartley would not have been my first choice. I would have wanted Kelly Monaco to sit there and play Sam, but like I don't know. It just sucks because it's like you don't know what goes on behind the screen. I mean, to let Roger Howard and Michael Easton play a minimum of three characters. That's very fucking true. Yes, that's very true. Hell, then after a while, they fucking pretty much fired Michael Easton. CK said they really did carry the show, especially during Robert Scorpio and the early WSB. Yes, him, Holly, they brung the adventure, they brung the action, they brung the romance, they brung the, like, they brung it. Johnson says there's another character that Kelly Monica could play on GH who's still out there. Her name is Alicia. I gotta find those fucking. I'm about to sit there and say I have to find those damn clips of her as Alicia. Speaking of clips, Domax says they could have thrown Kelly a bone, pull her days, and stick Kelly in a blonde wig. Oh no, like that's what we don't need. Thank you, Jonathan. I appreciate that. Yeah, Jonathan. That's why I'm always going to give you your props. You're a G. I'm not gonna lie. Part of okay, see, this is my whole thing. When they do stuff like that, it's like this is one of those things where it's like it's hard to sit there and take Days of Our Lives seriously when they start doing dumb, fucktarded shit like that. That's what we fucking needed. That whole Teresa thing was just so, so, so bad. Johnson says Kelly made it clear she wanted nothing to do with Jason. Now, where'd you hear that from? I mean, I don't blame her, but where'd you hear that from? Now? It's actually funny, Dolomitics. So, we spent 5 weeks in there watching Paul Mendez, right? But we also got to sit there and see a lot of action and adventure. It was, Jonathan. We also got to sit there and see a lot of action and adventure with the team crew. Oh, okay. All right. We also got to sit there and see a lot of action and adventure with the team crew. And, the thing that amazes me, and it really sucks, so Genius does not have the budget that Days had years ago during the whole blast from the past or whatever. I think if they actually had a budget, they were able to sit. Oh, thank you, the last blast crew. Thank you, Jonathan. I think if they actually had a budget, they got to sit there and send these people on location. I think that we would get to sit there and see some fun scenes with Charlotte and Rocco and Danny instead of this fucking kissing cousins incest shit. This is what happens when you don't have the budget that you know the soaps used to have. Well, it just started coming out today, Spider Quake. It just started coming out today. So I'm not gonna you should probably just look that stuff up. I'm not gonna really get into that, but it just happened today. So I think next week they're gonna do something other. They're gonna shave her head or something. See, I'm not gonna lie. This is where Beyond the Gates just fucking just like. But that's what I'm sitting there saying, Dogmatics. Like, if they were able to send them a location, have them do some like adventure stuff, then we wouldn't have to sit there and be dealing with fucking kissing cousins. But just to go back to your whole thing, Spider Quick, see, this is my whole thing. Like, I can't, like I said, and like Kyrie said, Well, that's the thing, Spike. Right? No, so her character doesn't wear a wig, right? Like the actress may wear a wig for the show, whatever, like a really good wig, but like the character doesn't wear a wig. That's why she freaked out when her hair came out. If she was wearing a wig, then she wouldn't freak out. Honestly, tell you, if she was wearing a wig, then it wouldn't really matter. Like, exactly, Jonathan. But again, just going back to, and I'm gonna get to that in 1 second. Just going back to that whole thing, kind of quick. Like Kyrie said, it's so fucking depressing. It is so goddamn depressing that they're watching that. But apparently this is something that Michelle thought that would be fucking entertaining. So I guess Beyond the Gates fans are just fucking stuck with that. I'm not gonna lie, Spider Quake. That chick. Well, first of all, that chick is fine. Okay. I will sit there and say this much though, Spider Quake. Like, I'm I'm glad that those men are comfortable, so that they're like essentially being okay with taking turns with Nicole. Um, like that chick is fine. Like honestly, tell you the truth, like I was saying to her, I was like, yo, it should be fucking illegal to look that good. Like Nicole's character, like the actress that plays Nicole looks better than every single woman on GH by a fucking mile. Like she looks better than all the GH cast women on a bad day. Tomax says during that era, GH wasn't sending their young characters on adventure trips, but we saw them getting into trouble at parties and things. Debatable about what, Jonathan? Okay, well, you're right, Jonathan. You're right. I will sit there and say that for me personally, let me re-edit that. For me personally, I personally sit there and think that that's just that plays Nicole looks better than every single woman on GH. Filmex says Michelle was working for GH when they would do social commentary and serious stuff like illnesses, but they broke it up better. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I just like I said, I can't. It's fucking depressing. It's depressing, and it was one of those things where it's like the episode wasn't even really that bad. I would sit there and say the episode was actually pretty watchable until they got to that part. And it was like, oh, thank you, Michelle. Thank you for fucking depressing the living shit out of me. That's just fucking amazing. I really totally. But I guess she just thought that that was just entertaining us. I don't know. It was like, damn, even when I actually do get a good, decent episode that I can sit there and say, wow, this is actually pretty decent. She got to sit there and find a way to fuck it up. Exactly, Spider Quick. Yeah, exactly. And that's your opinion. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, it was a well, Spider Quick, listen. We all have our own tastes towards things. And this is my whole thing. Like And like I said, though, Max, that was a great part to well, they found a way to fuck it up, right? Johnson says, I think Sonny wants Rick to represent Michael. Makes sense. Rick is a shark. Okay. I here's the thing. I didn't really give a shit about his dancing skills. I just liked the moment that they had. I liked the fact that like he wanted to sit there for one night to not sit there and treat her about her illness, not make things about her illness, just make it about her. So I like that. I don't give a shit about his dancing, but but of course, the fucking writer had to sit there and find a way to fuck up that moment. So I was gonna say something too, and I fucking forgot what it was. Oh, and again, this is my whole thing, right? Like I've said this for a while, and this is my opinion, and I'm gonna sit there and say, and I don't really give a shit. There'll be a lot of women out, and some men too. There'll be a lot of women out sitting like, I think that Danny looks pretty, and I think that Danny looks better than Haley, and I'm just like, here's the thing. I would sit there and say that Haley will always look better than fucking Danny. Danny's pretty, Haley's hot, right? That's cool though, Max. Listen, here's that. I know there's just probably other people like besides you. I know that people listening to asking cars like what did he thought of like the whole cancer story and everything like that. Listen, I'm saying this for me personally. Like other people can sit there and like it, and I think that that's pretty. Um, that's great. It's just for me. It's fucking depressing. But everyone has their own reactions and their own takes about how they feel about certain stories and illnesses and stuff like that. For me, it's fucking depressing, and it just like I just uh, you know I look at it this way though, Max. Like part of my YouTube channel, I do soap opera content. So like it's one of those things where it's like it's part of the game. I don't enjoy it, but I mean, there's a lot of times I don't necessarily always enjoy watching Beyond the Gates in general. The cancer stuff aside, you've seen what I write, but I feel you. Yeah, yeah. Listen, everyone that's like what I was going to say. Like everyone has their different reaction towards it. For me, it's fucking depressing. But even in general, like you know, take that away, which is a big fucking axe, because like I said, it's depressing as fuck. Like I just it definitely brings down my fucking mood, if I'm gonna be honest. Um, but you take that aside, right? Cartoonist Leslie. Oh, I'm gonna sit there and find a way to sabotage Ted and another one of his relationships because I gotta be with my Teddy boo. I'm just like, I just get so fucking sick and tired of sitting there seeing Leslie fucking throw herself at Ted and start acting all bitchy towards every other woman that wants to sit there and be around him. Like after a while, I just get kind of fucked. I here's the thing. I find myself scrolling on my phone. I'm listening to it, but it's like the minute that Leslie comes on, it's like, ah, here we go. Mm-hmm. It's like I'm listening to it, but I can't. I'm not like watching it because it's just like, yeah, she just gets to a point. She just gets fucking annoying. Like, oh no, I'm so good with that Spider Quick. I mean, just in general, Spider. In general, I find sex scenes in soap operas to be laughable. Um, I find those scenes to be more laughable, and I just want to fast forward it through them. Leslie tunes, yeah, it just like I said, she just gets to a point. She gets obnoxious. Oh shit, what's good, Queen Jess? I wouldn't know Spider Quick. I fast forward through the sex scenes, so I'll take your word for it. I like I said, I find them to be very just cringy. It was never something I was able to really get into, And don't get me wrong, Spider Quick, I like, you know, I don't know, soap opera. It looks so fucking silly. Okay, yeah, I don't need to know that. Um, and that says Brady is selfish. He cares more about pursuing Sarah than his child's well-being. Why do you feel like that's self? Well, I respect you. Okay, let me start off. Let me start off this way. Let me get my drink. I want to sit there. I want to sit there and say this properly. Listen, and that's how is Brady? How is Brady being selfish? Part of I sit there and say it's because part of what the what's good Nick's part of what the psychiatrist said was that Brady needs to make it very clear that he is not. I mean, don't get me wrong, Allison. I love sex scenes. I don't care for them in soaps. Um, but and that's part of what the psychiatrist said was that you need to make it very clear that you know to Rachel that you and Kristen are not going to get back together again. So I don't know where that comes from. I'm curious on your opinion about that. Um, so yeah, I'm a little yeah a little perplexed about that. Well, that's the thing though. Like I don't think that they're not meant to like they try to do it in a very artsy sort of way. So like that's how it comes across. But for me, it comes across as very cringe. This is not. It's not supposed to look natural. It's not supposed to look sexy. It's supposed to be, very artistic kind of look. But yeah, just like I said, I usually I fast forward through those. I'm like I can't watch this. like And, like I said, just if you know me, like I can watch that, but on a soap opera, I just like it's almost like torture. It just comes across as so weird and awkward and funny looking. Like, like I'm good. I am so good. There are places I could sit there and watch that type of stuff. I don't. Here's my thing, Jonathan. I think they can be done really well. Really? That's what that's what I'm saying. I was like, really? You know what it is, Jonathan? It's okay. It's like anime, right? Certain things I prefer to keep separate. I prefer to keep them separate. Okay? Like I watch an anime to watch the anime, the fight scenes and stuff like that. I don't need all the extra over the top stuff, right? I watch a soap opera for many things. I don't watch it for that. But when I watch that, I don't watch it for their acting skills. I like to keep shit separate. Like it makes me happy. But they always screw up the soap. Georgian A stays person times. Yeah. Things need to be separated like church and state. But I'm probably gonna sit there and wind up repeating myself. So for the people that already heard me, well, I guess you're gonna hear me again. Um Trina continues to be insufferable. Cody, I just first of all, like I said before, Cody needs fucking therapy. And Cody being on this fucking high horse, Molly, I can't believe you said all that mean stuff to me. I feel so mad at you. I'm gonna sleep with the goddamn horses. Bro, you've been lying to this woman for months about her dad and his whereabouts. And you want to sit there and decide to get on your high horse now? You want to sit there and try to act like you're morally superior? Are you fucking kidding me? Oh, you're such a loser fighting over nothing. No, Jess, I'm not gonna. I know it sounds really bad, Jess, but like, there's a point when Derek comes in from beyond the gates, and he pretty much is like, "I want to speak to Ashley." Yeah, man, bro, I'll sit there and bench press you, and I'm sitting there thinking like, this is the part where Jess will sit there and call this dude a fucking loser because that's what Derek has turned into. Derek has always been Derek started off nice. Things happen, but then it's like, bro, you just became a loser, and like now you're becoming this obnoxious fucking loser. No, I haven't. I haven't, Jonathan. Rocky Dog, Rocky Monster, no. Oh, Rock Monster, no. Rock Monster. Oh, it is just exhausting. I mean, yeah. Leslie's also exhausting. Vanessa's is exhausting to some extent, but just I don't know if you sat there and you watched Beyond the Gates today, but like this is my thing with Evil. Oh, the Asylum Company. Yeah, I just looked at it real quick. It looks very asylum like. But like the way that Evil was not there acting, the way that Evil was not there acting, it was like this is my whole thing, right? And I was sitting there saying this shit before. I was like, while Kat may be fucking annoying and like over the top, Eva, you walked in the room, you saw Kat sitting there talking to Isaiah, and you got super jealous. But did you not forget all those times when um you were sitting there talking to Tomas, and then you kept sitting there throwing it in Kat's face? Oh, we're just friends. What are you talking about? We're just friends. But the minute that you saw them laughing, you got super upset. And the thing that makes it even worse, Isaiah and Kat, like they're connected because they always known each other for a while because of Jacob. So like you were doing, yeah, Eva was doing too much, especially since they just kept. Is that, and that's another thing. Like she flipped out on him, like, oh well, why you sitting there asking for advice? Because I fucking want to. I'm a grown ass adult. And then when he was talking about the whole modeling thing and everything like that, like she got upset and he tried to lighten the mood and she was like, I cannot believe you're being this insensitive towards me. And that's when Isaiah was like, I thought you wanted things casually. Like, are you jealous now? I'm like, you do this little level of fucking gaslighting. You slept with Tomas. You threw it in Kat's face. This is after he played you twice like a fucking fool. And then you sat there and you try to fight. You try to fight for Tomas and throw yourself at him looking pathetic. You know, you got upset because Kat was not there talking to Isaiah once. But how many times did Kat sit there catching you talking to Eva? I mean, Tomas talking to you. Like, this is why I don't do this whole team bullshit. Because I'm just like, you know, I feel like you're trolling me, though, man. I feel like you're trolling me, but like, I'm like, my whole thing is like, they're both fucked up in ways. It's just with Kat, it's very overt. But Eva does some fucked up shit too that people tend to like low key ignore because Eva is more down to earth as opposed to snooty over the top Kat. Just because she's snooty and over the top doesn't necessarily mean that she's always wrong. This is something that Spiderquake said, like, yo, yeah, Kat may be annoying, but like Kat was not wrong about what Eve was they're planning on doing. And then Eve was all like, but I tried to sit there and stop her. I tried to stop her. And Kat was like, well, if you really want to sit there and try, you would have told us about it. You would have told us about what your mom was doing. And that's the fucking truth. I'm like, they're both fucked up in their own way. And then we got to talk about fucking Chelsea. Here's my whole thing. Like, I know that people will sit there and say, oh my God, Albert, you're such a hater. In Eva's defense, she really pretty. That's all. You know what? Nicole is also fucking pretty. Nicole, let me put it this way: Nicole is so damn bad that, like, technically, if I was thinking with the wrong head, I would let Nicole get away with fucking anything and everything because that chick is so good. That woman is so good looking that should be fucking illegal. I can't do that, obviously, but like if you want to sit there and be handing out like fucking pretty passes, then Nicole, like, and I'm not a huge fan of or what Nicole's doing in a sense, but like I feel that's more on Kyle and what you call it, you know. You know, it's actually really funny. I don't remember ever using the word or calling people losers so much before I met Jess. Like I don't remember ever really calling characters losers that much before like Jess, you know, I'm cool with Nicole living her life. She's not alive. And very, and you know what? Listen, that's actually very true. She's being honest and straightforward. I guess I want to see how long those two men are going to put up with that. Oh, and like I said, Chelsea, this chick goes from an impromptu. I think. Let me ask. Well, Spike. Like, let me ask you a question. If you were dating somebody and you found out that they wrote some bad things about you, how would you feel? How would you handle that? He did to a certain extent. Yes, he did to a certain extent, Jess. But let's not sit there and try to act like those things that she said about him wasn't hurtful. You know, I just think that the dude has so much low self esteem that that's what pushed him over the edge. Than if what they said is true or not. Okay, well, it's funny. What if what if everything that they wrote about you was true? How would you feel? Yeah, he's upset because it really how he feels about himself. Yeah, exactly. And again, that's why I was like, Broski definitely needs therapy. But like, regardless, Jess, I mean, like anybody. Here's the thing: anybody would be a little upset. Okay. Oh, Spike, Quake, you're. I hate that they're saying this, but you are young. How about I come back? How about we sit there and revisit this conversation in 5 years? Like I said, Spike, Quake, you can say that now. You know what? Fuck it. Give it 6 years, and we'll revisit this conversation. Well, it's not about that, niece. It's just the simple fact that like they wrote some stuff about you that you felt insecure about. Bottom line, I understand him being upset about it. Have a good night, Annette. Anetta. Have a good night, Annette. But I do think that he definitely did overreact. I think if he wasn't so, I don't know if that's entirely true, Jess. I don't know if that's entirely true. I think it would bother you. Really? I don't. I'm not gonna lie, Jess. I don't see you being a laughing type. Oh no, I definitely don't see you being a laughing type. I just don't. Now I'm not gonna sit there and pull a whole Kyrie and everything like that and say that you're all flawless, but You definitely come close to perfection as perfection goes. But I don't think that you would be. No, you. I I really don't sit there and see you laughing that shit off. I'm just not there saying like I look at that. I'm just not there looking at that and being like my issue with Cody being that upset is that Broski is still lying. He is still lying to Molly. Okay, like you got that angry. It's like I don't know what that's like, but like it's like if I don't know what could be the equivalent of that, but it's like you've been lying to this chick for months, right? So like I'm looking ahead of it and being like, okay, cool. So when the truth comes out and she finds out that you have been lying about, the whole Rick situation, what are you gonna do then? Are you still gonna be on your whole high moral horse? Because I look at it as like she's gonna be sitting there practically groveling to get back together with him. Yeah, she's gonna be sitting there being like, "Oh, well, we need to get back together. I'm so sorry. I hurt your feelings and everything." And eventually, he's going to forgive her. He's going to forgive her, and he's been lying to her for fucking yeah, exactly. That he's been lying to her for months, and that's what annoyed. That's what annoyed me. It wasn't so much that he was just over the top. I was like, all right, bro. Like after a while, I was like, you might want to kind of like chill the fuck out. Like, if you getting that mad because she wrote some stuff about you in a book, like you want to end things. I want to sleep with the horses. All right, bro. Like you doing all that, you making her feel bad, like for I get what you're saying. It's probably quick. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Like he's getting upset, like she cheated on him, like that level of anger. Now I understand your train of thought. Like I said, that's what annoyed me the most. So, but I mean, granted, this is one of those things. It's like I don't even like invest in couples and stuff like that. But like, are you fucking kidding me? If you plan on lying to some more people, now that's cute. Um, I don't know. Like I said, this is and Lulu and Nathan need to. That honestly, tell you the truth, that's what I said. There was some people that were a little outraged about that, but like I said it once and I'll sit there and say it again. Lulu is not that serious. Maxie should not be that crushed. Maxie is not there dating Spinelli. They have their whole family unit going on. Nathan, Dante is not going to be that pissed off at you. Okay, he was dating Sam. He was going to marry Sam. If Dante actually sat there and got pissed off that Nathan is dating Lulu, bro, you aren't even in a fucking right headspace after Sam died. Where the fuck would the outrage even come from? So like none of that makes sense of why they can't be together. They're just finding bullshit reasons for them to not be together, even though they're gonna want each other the entire time. And of course, I gotta sit there and bring it back to the beginning of the stream. Danny and Charlotte, who are fucking cousins, who are knowing cousins, made out. I always sat there. When I did my review, I was like, "What? Aren't they fucking cousins?" I was like, no, no, no. They're they're blood cousins. CK said Lulu and Nathan is just not cool with me. Maxie is Lulu's BFF. Oh, okay. Well, somebody else said something very similar in the chat. But CK, well, I mean, they're still blood. Like they're like, you know, second remove, third remove. Like if there's a blood connection, then like it's still gross. Like I said, Allison, there's these characters on The Bold and the Beautiful. Yeah, I did, Jonathan. Just says it's crazy how the writers didn't remember that character. No, Jess, I think that they did. I think that they did that on purpose to cause a stir. Justin, you did. I will sit there and say this much: that you definitely should not watch Days of Our Lives. But they did that to cause a stir. They knew that they were related, just like they knew that Curtis and Brick knew each other. They knew that Curtis and Brick knew each other. But yet, when Brick was sitting there flirting with Jordan, Curtis was like, "Oh, who's your friend?" I'm like, "Motherfucker, you know damn well who that is." Yeah, they did that to sit there and cause a stir and everything like that. Like they knew. I cannot believe there is no way because even the actors must have been like, "Wait, aren't we cousins?" Yeah, well, it's in the script, so. But like they're blood cousins, right? So like on Born the Beautiful, they have RJ Forrester and Electra Forrester. They're probably going to wind up getting together. 1 second, Spider. But they're not actually blood related. RJ calls himself a Forrester, but he's really a Maroney. So they're only connected through just because of the name. Spy Quick says, I believe they knew. I just think they thought us fans will remember. Really? So I guess Spy Quick, you think that GH just really thinks that little of us? I Okay. Well, you know what? Listen, that's your opinion. I don't think that they think that we didn't remember. But okay. CK said, "Yeah, I agree with you. Albert Curtis and Brick knew each other, and Danny and Charlotte are cousins. The writers just wanted people to talk about it." Exactly. Yeah, I think they just wanted people to sit there and talk about it. Johnson says EJ doesn't seem to acknowledge Trey as Demira. Yes. And it's funny, Jonathan, because I saw somebody in the comment section that said the same thing, right? Now this sounds fucked up, but I'm gonna sit there and say it because I'm trying to sit there and think of it from EJ's point of view. Trey isn't blood. Now, Jonathan, for me and you, or maybe I can't speak for you, but for me, blood does not define family. Okay? It doesn't define family. But for EJ, maybe he's old school, maybe he just is very proud of that Demera blood, but like he he doesn't acknowledge him as, you know. And I don't know, and that's the thing, Jonathan. Like, you gotta look at it this way, Jonathan. Me and you are very like, but Kristen isn't out. EJ acknowledged Kristen as his sister, Rachel as his niece. And that's actually very true. And you know what? Yeah, okay, wow, that just kind of blew my argument apart. Yeah, I was gonna sit there and say like, yeah, that is a fucking contradiction. Okay, maybe we gotta sit there and see why he doesn't acknowledge him as his grandson, because that's actually very true, Max. Very good point. I had a whole fucking speech about that, and Dumb Max was like, very good point. No, no, no. That's actually very good, though, Max. I'm glad you did it because you kind of like saved me from that sense of embarrassment. Well, not really embarrassment, but more like I'm glad you did because then I was like, I would have probably thought about that later on. Like, damn, I didn't sit there and say in the stream. Well, it's funny. Ed said something very similar. He was like, they made a big deal about Sasha and Cody, you know, being together. They realized that they were a family. They were like, whoa, we can't do this. This is gross. Um, but Danny and Charlotte was like, yeah, we cousins. And somebody says, like, you went from the slam dunk. And I just, hey, listen, I'm glad you did, though, because in reality, you kind of saved me from looking like a fool in a sense. So I'm very curious in seeing how that's going to be, Jonathan. Hopefully they will explain why he feels the way he feels. I don't like doing a whole lot of guessing work. Well, LaShawn, I mean, I can pray to the fucking gods that um I don't have to sit through another nurse's ball because I just I cannot fucking stand those things. CK, I am as well. And here's the thing. I hope it's a good one. I heard rumors that it's going to be Lauren Fenmore and Chelsea, which, you know, Chelsea is just is such, I feel like in a sense that Chelsea's a real character. Like, there are real women that act like that, but to me, she is such a shitty and vapid fucking character. Like, this is the same chick that got so nervous about her girlfriend dumping her that she decided to sit there and propose to her. like, like what? Somebody sent it to me, and I forgot to sit there and check because I normally don't sit there and like talk about soap operas outside these streams. I personally hope is Victor and Vernon. So don't ask. Okay, I don't want to spoil it for people. Me personally, I hope it's Vernon and Victor because I could not see two Okay, good. Because I'm like, I mean, here's I'm not. I'm. Well, it's a good thing that I guess, Jonathan. It's a good thing that I guess, because if I didn't, then I guess I was going to be spoiled. But here's the thing, though. Like, it was good, Dave. I could not imagine a greater crossover than Victor Newman and Vernon. And I swear, I'm not trying to sit there. Well, yes, but I'm just sitting there thinking, like, you think about it this way. I'm not going to sit there and try to get all, like, whatever. But, like, you think about it this way. You have Vernon, who has been sitting there being active in, like, civil rights and fighting for, like, rights. So, like, people of color and stuff like that for years. And you have Victor Newman, an old, entitled white man who has had money and power and has abused his status for fucking years. I could not think of two better fucking, like, just the fact that you have Victor Newman, old, entitled white man, and Vernon Dupree, civil rights activists, going ahead like that. To me, is fucking magic. Dave says, "Hey, how you doing? Let me say this: if they continue the Danny and Charlotte relationship, I'm considering not watching the show anymore if they're continuing this storyline." Okay, Dave, I understand. I hope you had a good day, Dave. Use Victor to help out Vernon. Campaign of Vernon use to help with that help logistics that helps Newman Enterprises. That is correct, LaShawn. I don't remember them actually mentioning that. That's interesting, Jonathan. Hmm. That's interesting, CK. Then here's the I'm very excited for Dolmax. Listen, I've been sitting there saying this shit for years. The fact that, like, you have Born and Beautiful and Young and Restless, and they haven't done any more, like, meaningful, like, crossovers, have just been, like, disappointing. Right? One of my shows, again, back in the day, was CSI Miami. I used to love when they used to do their crossovers. Like, that was the fucking best. You had two shows that are in the same universe. And whenever they used to do crossovers, it was like, I didn't give a shit about fucking Lauren Fenmore coming to sit there and see Eric fucking Santa Claus. You couldn't make a meaningful fucking crossover than that. And that's it, exactly, CK. And I don't remember them actually. Wow, you and Jonathan are really good as far as. And if, that's the thing, though, Max. I would sit there and say this much, like, um, listen, ABC soap operas started doing it before fucking Marvel. Spikequake says if GH could collab with Days, B&B, Young and I would pick. Oof. Oddly, Spiderquake. Okay. I would pick General Hospital, and I would pick The Young and Restless. I would pick General Hospital and Young and Restless because I would fucking love to sit there and see Sonny Corentos and a guy named Victor Newman really go at it. You know, these are two rich, powerful men that won't back down for anything. That's true, CK. Yes, they could have done that. Yeah, they probably haven't done a lot of crossovers because Beyond the Gates is filmed on the East Coast, and yeah, no, I know, no, you're right, Jonathan. From a logistics standpoint, you're right. They did, CK. They did. But like, yeah, I would pick. Oddly, I would pick Young and the Restless and General Hospital. Well, despite quite, he's not a mobster, but he is a very rich tycoon that has used his power to. He think of him more as a corporate raider in a sense, you know, somebody who is like overprotective of his family, gets in his family's business, tries to literally control his family's actions in a sense, but he calls it being loving or whatever. Um, but these are two strong-willed men. They have a lot of power, a lot of influence. They have both helped the community in a sense, but also just been like looked at by others like you're a shitty person. You know, like Victor, you got your power and you stomped over all other people, whatever, and you didn't care about any of them. And Sonny, well, we know how Sonny is. Exactly, CK. Like I would fucking love that. Like think about it this way. If Sam was alive, imagine her going toe to toe with Audra Charles. I could watch a whole I could watch a whole episode of Audra and Sam McCall going at it. I mean, well, well, I don't know about the Quartermains and the Demare family, but like I would sit there and say like the Quartermain because like it's mobsters versus old money. Like Jonathan, this one makes more sense. Like Quartermains versus the Kariakises. I respect your opinion, Jonathan. Um, I just, for me, Jonathan, here's my thing. Like, right. So, like, I would sit there and say, like, GH and Days are my favorite soaps. But I can see the potentials with Y&R and GH. That'll be messy. Messy. It's not that. Ooh, Nikki from Y&R versus Tracy Quarterman. Okay. The Young and the Restless, Nikki Newman. The Young and the Restless, Nikki Newman versus Tracy Quarterman. Yeah, I know Spider Quake. Here's the thing. I don't. Here's the truth of the matter is Spider Quake. I'm gonna sit there and say it this way, and you can feel free to disagree with me. I don't think your heart was ever really in it with Days of Our Lives. Like I think you watched it mostly like, okay, it might have been kind of an interesting conversation. Me and Kyrese really brung it up a couple of times. But like it was never really like it was never like your GH. Like your heart was never really in it. Exactly, CK. So like I feel like there's more of a like I mean Yeah, that's probably correct. I mean, it's not like GH is that they're writing some of their characters that great, but yeah. Exactly, dog, Max. That's what they're saying. Like Nikki versus fucking Tracy. That would be fucking epic right there. You know, okay. So here's my thing with that. Kate Roberts, as bougie as she is, she's not as bougie as Nikki Newman, right? She's not as bougie as Nikki as she's not as bougie as Tracy Quartermain is. They don't like for me personally, they don't match when it comes towards bouginess. But Nikki Newman and Tracy Quartermain, they match each other to a fucking T, right? Like for me personally. Steppenwolf versus Sherwood. Yeah, I'll be down for that, Jonathan. Kate versus Ava. Here's the thing with that though, Max. I'm sitting there thinking like maybe. I guess you can kind of do like an Ava Jerome versus Ava Vitale, maybe. You know, oh, yeah, like Ava Jerome versus maybe Ava Vitale. You know, that stuck a gun in the unconscious Sammy's head and let her get the murder almost get. Yeah, well, here's the thing, like, but that's what I'm saying. Like, Kate, okay, it's like Kate's no joke or whatever, right? But like, maybe, maybe I don't think that that's terrible versus Ava Jerome, but like, I don't know. I feel like I maybe it's just me in my head, but like I don't feel like they necessarily like they mash, right? Like when Sam came to town, she was a drifter and a con artist and this, that, and the third. Audra came to town and like very like sus kind of things. But I can. The crazy thing is, I can also sit there and see Sam and Audra being friends. I can also sit there and see those two being good friends. Um, or or AJ, AJ Quartermain. I'm going to go with this, right? And this is from Young and Restless. AJ Quartermain and Adam Newman. AJ Quarterman and Alan and Adam Newman can definitely fucking tear up some shit. Susan Lucci being. I mean, it was cool when they did their little mini crossover. Yeah, But and it, like I said, Jonathan, I respect your opinion. I feel differently, but that's totally fine. Um, Also, also here's the thing, Jonathan. And granted, it's just me, right? GH is always going to be GH is always going to be my favorite, and Days is always going to be my second favorite for the most part. But just because I find those two to be my favorite, I don't necessarily find that they would mash as they would mash as much as GH and YNR. And plus, there's something about those two because their energies are so polar opposite. Like GH and Days have like a similar energy as far as like they both do the whole action and adventure and stuff like that. And Wino doesn't really do that. Like what I'm saying? Like Wino is a little bit more of a slower pace. So somehow I find those two that are not. Yeah, exactly what I was gonna sit there and say. And what's good, Miss Barnes? I see what CBS is doing with their crossover with Beyond the Gates. I know I'm so sick of these crossovers like Beyond the Gates. So just getting on the air. We do not need a crossover. Okay. I don't know. I have to tell you, like I said, I think the first thing that came in up, okay, Ms. Barnes, I respect your opinion. Um, okay, now I see where this energy is coming from. I don't know. I'll have to think about days and Y&R. I just like the first thought that came to my head was Jage and Y&R because they're so opposite. And yeah, I can see the fact that I can see from your logic point, like they kind of both focus on like very similar things, but I don't know, Miss Barnes. Like I said, for me personally, and this is just my opinion. I'm loving the crossovers. Um, I don't know about the whole weed thing, but I'm looking forward towards the crossovers, and I think it's a really good opportunity since they're all in the same universe for them to sit there and actually and do. You know, Max says GH and Days were kind of like mirror images of each other. Days just leaned further into the camp. Days is like GH if GH went full Saturday morning cartoon. Yeah. So here's my in this okay, this is gonna sound a little weird, Jonathan. Like I feel okay. I feel like okay, days and passions. Days and passions. Because Y&R is so much of a grounded show and Days really is not compared to like Y&R that like for some odd reason I feel like Days and Passions would make way more sense than like Days and Y&R. And for the most part, GH is actually pretty fucking grounded. For the most part. But it's okay, but it's more grounded than Days. More grounded than days, in my personal opinion. Yeah, One Life to Live was great. It did. I don't know. I still got to sit there and watch that other part that you were talking about. But what passions was created by the writers who gave us all the creating 90 stuff in days, the writers who came up with the original Marlene. Oh, okay, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that's what I said. I feel like passions and days just kind of make a little more sense. But like I said, like that's when I sit there and look at it, I just see more days and passions. Yeah, exactly, Jonathan. Like passions, Port Charles are fucking days of our lives in Port Charles. No, 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 never mind. Passions in Port Charles. As much as days leading into supernatural, I felt like there was a point where when Passion started doing it, like this was just a everyday sort of thing where you just have witches that could just turn back fucking time and shit. No, you're right. Passions in Port Charles. But I just don't see days and GA. I just feel like right now, like GH is too much of a grounded show. I kind of just personally, in my opinion, go better with YNR. Like, okay, so like I feel that if Born and Beautiful was doing their whole fashion stuff, I feel like it would go great with All My Children. You know, Born and Beautiful doing their fashion stuff with All My Children when they were sitting there doing like yeah, it's not exactly great. The lady in the case line Carly burnt alive the possession of Marlena Evans, Princess Jen, and the fact that John was basically Wolverine from the X-Men. One Life to Live in Days. I don't see it, but yeah, he did. He did get the Logan. Yeah, exactly. John did get the Logan treatment, especially when all my children used to sit there and do like fusion and stuff like that. Like I felt like that would have been really well with Born and Beautiful, especially back then when the soaps actually had money. They had a budget. You know, they were able to sit there and pull off like fashion shows and stuff. I mean, I just like that's I'm looking at one show being when I watched it was very grounded. Days is a lot more grounded now than they were like when I first started watching it. Yeah, like one exactly one had to live and that could be fun, Jonathan. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Orpheus. I like Orpheus. Orpheus is like Orpheus. I'm not gonna lie. Like part of me was like Orpheus is like if you can't give me Jerry Jacks, then I'll sit there and take Orpheus. I think it was just fun when I first started watching the show. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Max says, John was Wolverine. Basically, I remember a bunch of other kids in my neighborhood used to watch days and talk on the phone during the summer. I'm assuming this time was like around the 80s, right? Like, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so we were sitting there watching the whole Paul Mendes thing. Like, it was so weird to sit there and see John. Well, I'm saying this was around the 80s, though, right? Right, Automatics? Oh, the 90s. Okay. All right. Um, but he actually had like black hair. You know what I'm saying? Like, he actually, like, I started watching, um, okay, I could be wrong, Jonathan, but I could have swore they did some sort of story and passions that was like inspired by the fucking X-Men or something. No, 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 no. Here's the thing, though, Max. I just remember people like talking on the phone and stuff like that while they was like watching certain stuff in the 80s. So yeah, Barnes, they've been sitting there saying that for years. Hell, I think Kyrie's is actually spearheading a campaign about that. Okay, just for shits and giggles. Well, I'm gonna do two things. Oh, okay, good. We're Josh Griffins was on Days of Our Lives. That's interesting. All right. Passions where Charlie was possessed that was similar to the X Men. Oh, okay, all right. CK knows her history. Okay, that's what's up. You're at that age where you could stay home alone as long as you didn't open the door to strangers. Yes. No, you know what? Fuck it. I won't sit there and show it now. I'll show it next time. That's the thing. People always forget about the '90s. Like people love that they talk about the '80s. Like the '80s was like the best time ever. Like I grew up in the '80s, but like I mostly experienced the '90s. That's interesting, John. I did not know that. That's the thing. That's the thing, John. It's like in all reality, I kind of wish people talk more about the '90s. Um, People love talking about these. This is great. This is amazing. Like I kind of like the century too, but yeah, sure. I just like people talk about the '80s to death to the point where it's like well, maybe you should sit there and build a DeLorean. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, wow, okay. Damn, you got lazy after that then. Shit. Oh, that's what's up, Barnes. I'm not gonna lie, that kind of like low key sounds sexual, but yeah, the '90s was an interesting era. I'm not gonna sit there and like start like obsessing about it like some people do with the '80s, but like there was a lot of stuff you was able to put on TV that you can't put on now. I will give it that much. There was a lot of things that you were able to get away with that you could not get away with now. That was fun. That was peak entertainment because it was like again, there was a shit you was able to get away with, you know. Well, see, that's the thing, Max. Like, so the early '90s was like the early '90s was like the late '80s, right? And the early 2000s was like the phase out of the '90s, but you weren't in that like super technology kind of like driven stuff now, you know? What was the equivalent after um for CW or the WB? That was fun. Darkwing Duck was also fun, and I think that was on Channel 11. Or um, I wish I could show you some of the '90s day stuff. I can't even begin to tell you how incredible it was. Oh, Kids WB, thank you. Yeah, though, like I said, Jonathan was able to sit there and put like a really good list of like showing some of the earlier days stuff back then. Yeah, Kids WB was fun. They both had their shining moments. I'm not gonna lie. I don't even feel like you was able to sit. I don't think you couldn't put it on a show like Doctor and Doctor. You just couldn't. You just couldn't. You damn sure couldn't put on like Ducktales. Like even though that's like a fucking cartoon with like ducks and shit, I feel like you still couldn't put that shit on there. And I'm not even gonna get into the reasons of why you can't put that on there now. But yeah, CK, that show was the shit back then. Film says the storylines were just amazing. Double deception storylines thanks to Susan and the introduction of the mayor's secret room. And that's the thing, though, Max. Just like on B&B used to actually have fashion shows and shit. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that one. I didn't know about that though. That's interesting. I was like, you know, Jonathan, how about I just go to sleep when I wake up? Maybe they'll do maybe they'll finish with fucking gargoyles. Maybe they'll do something with that show. I've been waiting for that show forever. Maybe they'll do something then. If I find it, let me screenshot that. No, no, no. Oh, no, I definitely played in a member circle. Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if you can get away with that now. Yeah, I mean that's the whole thing, CK. That's one of the things that stood out about that show was like the fashion stuff. You know, this is the thing. Like GH used to do a lot of the action adventure location shoots. Guess what? Those shows all had a budget back then, so it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And speaking of it is what it is, I just and that's the thing, Jonathan. I feel like again you're able to sit in and stress stuff more. Like I don't know if you remember. I was gonna sit there and say Forever Night, even though that show was actually really fucking great. Um, even something like Silk Stockings. Remember watching that Passion Flood, and that's when Passions was the broke. Oh yeah, but you know what? Listen, I give them credit for their creativity. You know, they had sets, they had props and stuff. You know, they knew how to sit there and stretch it. They knew how to sit there and stretch it. Um, and I just like I said, listen, this wasn't like GH. You know, when we watched it, there was a point where Sonny and Brenda are like running and stuff like that. They're on a speedboat. They're clearly on location somewhere. You know, that was the '90s stuff, and that again. That's why I sit there, and that's why I sit there and I look at Days of Our Lives and the four actors that are well getting fired, and again, allegedly, it's to save money. And I'm like, you know what? Listen, the show is on Peacock. It's on fucking Peacock. Like they didn't have that much money they didn't have that much money for the show when it was on NBC. Oh yeah, I mean CK, that's one of the many things that made that show great. It was over the top at times. It was campy, but it made it so fun to watch, and the characters too. You know, like some of those fucking legendary villains was just like y'all know who I'm fucking talking about. I know who I'm talking about. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's what somebody was there saying why they had them gone. But okay, I just my whole thing is like I'm not opposed to like I don't know. I know some people are just like some other characters, but I'm like maybe they should just sit there and strengthening the stories of the characters that they have on there instead of just getting other characters, bringing back other characters. Well, I mean, I think it had a lot to do with the ratings, CK. You know, because the show was canceled. Like they NBC was like, "No, we not gonna do this." But Peacock, he did it. So it's sad, but it's sort of the same thing with like One Life to Live and All My Children. Oh, let's put on a Chew and whatever else that other show was that replaced it. Like, they were just like, no, this is not making if it's not making dollars, it's not making sense. It's actually tougher on Peacock because they have to produce more shows. And the sad thing is that, you know, like Days, All My Children and One Life to Live essentially got saved. They put it on online. I think they put it on Hulu. Johnson says there are rumors that they may put Days back on NBC while still airing it on Peacock the same way they air it now. You know what the sad thing is? Like, okay, part of me is like, I don't know how I feel about that. I can see myself not liking that idea, but like, at this point, I already have fucking Peacock. I'm not getting rid of my damn Peacock. Um, I'm not getting rid of my Peacock app, but I don't know how to feel about that. I know people have been whining and bitching and complaining for years, and y'all know how I feel about that, right? Bring it back on regular television. I get it. I'm a different generation. I'm used to watching stuff online. Other people that are, a little more up there in age or whatever, they just want to watch it on Peacock, on NBC. That's the thing, CK. I don't know. I feel like it might have just been too early for that, you know. So like try to watch stuff on online and stuff, try to like because like Peacock, listen, Peacock saved days and people jumped on there and they kept the show going. Mm. I get it. I don't know how to. I mean, if it gets into a wider audience, more people will sit there and watch Days of Our Lives, and I guess that's cool. I guess part of it just kind of pisses me off because all that whining and bitching and everything like that about I don't want to pay $5, I want to watch it for free. It's like all the crybabies eventually just got their way. I don't know how to feel about that. Filmax as a thing is the demo watching on NBC didn't work for them. That's the thing that works in Beyond the Gate's favor. They have a younger fan base and sought out advertising demos. Yes, that's the thing, CK. They've been talking. That makes sense, though, man. They've been talking about that damn reboot for like so long. I heard so many different stories. I've heard a story where it's like, okay, well, we're not going to make the show. We're just going to make a bunch of movies. Oh, what's going on, Kelly Ripa? You was nothing involved with Mark Consuelo or whatever his name is. Um, on doing the reboot. What happened to that? She used to talk about all the time, and then like after a while, I was like, yeah. See, I didn't even read that, but yeah, I heard it's going to be the exact same thing. I'm like, yeah, movies now, which I don't know how to feel about that. I mean, I just started watching All My Children, so like I would be gained, and part of me would be gained like to watch it in any sort of form. The other part of me is like movie, movie. It's like if they sat there and said, "Oh, let's do some General Hospital movies," I'm just like, I don't know how to feel about that. Like the format and everything like that, the way it's shot. Like I don't know. I remember when All My Children started doing like it was sort of like this the way that they set the camera angle or the way that they were doing it, it was shot more like it was it was done live. Like it didn't look like the other soap operas, like how it looked like a regular soap opera. It looked like they were doing almost like it almost looked like a damn reality show. I'm not sure how that would work out, but they did use special events. Yeah, like the way that All My Children was shot, it looked like it was more of a reality TV show. And I just remember, like, even back then when I wasn't watching All My Children, I just looked at it, I was like, I'm not feeling this look. Like, I'm not feeling this look. I don't know if it was all the time, but I just remember when I would pop over to look at it, I'm like, I'm not, no, I'm not feeling this. I would definitely love fucking Erica Kane to come on General Hospital. They always talk about fucking Fusion or whatever her company. Yeah, I was reading about that, CK. Because sometimes when I do my member circle, or whatever, I look at different characters, and sometimes it would go there. It was fancy. I think it happened when they moved to the West Coast. I think it was good for the soaps to be a different. I don't know. Like I said, for me personally, I just remember watching and just being like, um, it's like this. I don't know. Where it says, what about Devayne's nephew, Aiden? You mean Aiden Devane? I was reading about that character a couple of days ago. I was thinking about maybe doing a night with him, and I will, but like, have a good night, Miss Barnes. He's gonna be up there. He's just not up there just yet. I gotta find some good scenes with Aiden Devane. Because on paper, he seems like he's kind of a badass, but like some of the stuff I was reading, I was like, ugh. Like going through some of his scenes, like reading some of the stories, I was like, y'all have like anything like of interest? Like some of these scenes just seem like, you know, makes sense. Yeah, all my children like to live kind of like as the world turns, and but like I said, on paper he seems like he's kind of a badass. I'm like I'll circle back to you at some point. All right, but I should probably get some rest since I've been up since 3 o'clock this morning. Yeah, 3 o'clock this morning. It looked off to me. Like I mean, granted, I could have probably still watched it if I gave it a chance, but like I was like, you know what? I'm already watching like Won't like to live in Port Charles at this point in General Hospital. I'm good. I was like, I'm good. But yes, I'm gonna end the stream here. Members, I'll be back tomorrow. If you're not a member, make sure you join. Become a member. We have a lot of fun. Do a lot of throwback episodes and everything. And I am going to do the members shout out. So I did not forget that. It's been hell this week. Yes, have a good night, Black Mon. Have a good night, Dolomedics. Have a good night, CK. Have a good night, War Hero. Have a good night, Cherry Ice Cream. Have a good night, Amy H. Have a good night, Spiderquake. Have a good night, Queen Jess. Have a good night, Allison. No, I don't, Allison. That's why I was able to hang out. That's why I was able to hang out so late tonight because I'm actually off tomorrow. No, I would have ended it at 10 if that was the case. I would have ended at 10. I was like, you know what? I haven't done a 3 hour live stream in a hot minute. So Johnson says, join us for another edition of Soul Chat without the Bostic. Good night, everyone. Hit the like button. Yes, hit that like button before you go. Seriously. Yes, yeah, Allison. That I was like, I love streaming, but I gotta get up early. I gotta cut it short by like an hour. But yes, have a good night, Allison. Have a good night, CK. Have a good night, Cherry Ice Cream. Yeah, so make sure you do hit that like button. It does help. Also put out a new short. So you get a chance, definitely check it out. And anybody else, War Hero, anybody else who I didn't say goodnight to, you know who you are. And I will see y'all in the next stream. If you're a member or become a member, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.